My girlfriend said, "My ex is coming. Be cool or it's over." So I left. So this happened a few months ago and people keep telling me I need to share this somewhere because apparently it's wild. I'm a 31-year-old guy, architect by trade, and I genuinely thought I had my life figured out. Turns out I was living in a blueprint that had a massive structural flaw and I just couldn't see it until everything collapsed. Let me back up. I've been with my girlfriend Karen for about 2 years. She's 28, works part-time as a stylist, and honestly we seemed like a good match at first. I'm the type who plans everything down to the minute. My job literally requires me to think about how buildings will look and function years into the future. Karen was the complete opposite. She was spontaneous, went with the flow, lived by vibes and energy. I actually liked that about her initially. I thought we balanced each other out. I'd be the solid foundation and she'd be this beautiful chaotic energy that made life interesting. We'd been living together for about 8 months in this apartment that I absolutely loved. The lease was only in my name because I'd signed it a few months before she moved in. I was paying roughly 70% of the rent plus all the utilities. Before anyone says I was being taken advantage of, it was genuinely my choice. I make pretty good money as an architect and she was working part-time. It felt fair and I didn't mind supporting us. The arrangement worked fine for both of us, or at least I thought it did. Now here's where things get relevant. I'm kind of a tech nerd in addition to being an architect. Over the past year I'd been building this custom smart home system that I called Aura. This wasn't some basic setup you buy from Amazon or Google. This was a fully customized system running on a dedicated server that I built myself and kept in the hall closet. I'm talking custom scripts, multiple lighting zones, whole apartment audio control, and 3 massive digital art displays in the living room. The thing controlled every single light bulb, the music in every room, everything. I'd spent months on it and probably dropped close to $3,000 on the hardware alone. It was my baby and honestly it was pretty incredible when it all worked together. Karen loved the Aura system. She'd show it off to her friends all the time. He called it our ultimate party trick. You could change the whole vibe of the apartment with a single voice command or a tap on my phone. Romantic dinner mood, boom, warm amber lighting and smooth jazz. Dance party, boom, colorful lights and pumping bass. It was genuinely impressive and I was proud of it. So I decided to throw this massive spring party to show off the apartment and the system and just celebrate us. This wasn't going to be some casual thing with chips and beer. I went all out. I spent $1,200 on catering from this really nice place downtown. I built out this incredible bar cart with about $800 worth of premium liquor. I'm talking high-end tequila, small batch whiskey, craft gin, the works. I programmed the Aura system with custom playlists timed to different parts of the evening. The digital art displays were going to cycle through these beautiful abstract pieces. I had the lighting sequences planned out. Everything was perfect. Then 3 days before the party on a Tuesday evening, Karen drops this bomb on me. She'd been acting weird all day, kind of distant and not making eye contact. I should have known something was up. Finally she just says it. "Hey, so you know how Julian is in town?" My stomach immediately dropped. Julian is her ex-boyfriend. He's 29, kind of scruffy artist type, probably spends a lot of time thinking about how deep and misunderstood he is. Karen always talked about how their breakup was soul-crushing and how it took her forever to get over him. But his name still came up way too often for someone she was supposedly over. Yeah, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Well, I ran into him yesterday and I invited him to the party on Friday. I just stared at her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You invited your ex-boyfriend to our housewarming party without even asking me first." "God, Alex, don't be like that," she snapped back immediately. "It's not a big deal. We're friends now. We're mature adults. He wanted to see the new place and it would be weird not to invite him." I tried to explain calmly. "Karen, I'm not comfortable with that. This is our party for our friends. It feels really inappropriate to have your ex there. I don't want him here." And this was the moment. This was when I should have seen everything clearly. Her entire face changed. She crossed her arms and her expression went hard. "Look, he's coming. I already told him he could come, so that's that. What do you want me to do, uninvite him?" "No, I'm not going to be immature just because you're feeling insecure. He's my friend and he's coming to the party. It's not a big deal unless you make it one." Then she took a breath and said the line that changed absolutely everything. "Just be cool about it, Alex. Seriously, if you're going to be paranoid and weird about this, then maybe we have a bigger problem. Be cool or it's over. Or it's over." Just like that. She was holding our entire 2-year relationship hostage, and the ransom she was demanding was my self-respect and dignity. She was basically telling me to sit there and smile while she paraded her ex-boyfriend around our apartment at a party I was throwing and paying for. And if I had any problem with that, she was threatening to end our relationship. I looked at her. Really looked at her for maybe the first time in months. She wasn't nervous or apologetic. She was challenging me. She'd already made up her mind about this, and she was testing me to see if I would just roll over and accept it. Something clicked in my brain. It was like looking at an architectural drawing and suddenly seeing that the whole foundation was built on sand. All the stress and hurt and anger just drained away, and I felt this weird calm come over me. "You're right," I said quietly. Her expression immediately softened. She got this smug little smile like she'd won. "See, I knew you'd understand." "No," I said. "I mean, you're right that I'll be very cool about it." She looked confused, but I just smiled and walked away. The next 2 days I was the perfect boyfriend. Pleasant, helpful, normal. She thought she'd won. She had no idea. Friday night arrives. Party time. I was in full host mode from the moment the first guest arrived. My buddies Ben and Will showed up early to help with last-minute stuff. Then my colleagues from the architecture firm started rolling in. The apartment looked absolutely incredible. The aura system was running perfectly. The lighting was this beautiful warm amber that made everything feel cozy and upscale. The music was this laid-back lo-fi hip-hop that was perfect for conversation. The digital art displays were slowly cycling through minimalist landscape pieces. The catering was getting rave reviews. I was making drinks, telling jokes, being charming. I was the perfect host. Karen was in her element too. She was wearing this red dress that I now realized she probably wore specifically because he liked it. She was floating around talking to people, laughing, having a great time. Everything seemed perfect on the surface. Around 9 o'clock the doorbell rings. Karen immediately looks at me with this nervous warning glance. I just smiled at her. "Don't worry," I said. "I got this." I walked to the door and opened it. There he was. Julian. He looked exactly like you'd expect. Scruffy beard, thrift store jacket, probably thinks he's incredibly deep. He looked awkward standing there. "Oh hey Alex. I'm Julian." I put on my biggest, warmest, most welcoming host smile. "Julian, welcome man. So glad you could make it. Karen's been really excited to see you." I grabbed his hand and shook it firmly, real friendly like. "Oh cool, thanks man. Great place you got here." "Thanks," I said. "We really love it." Karen came gliding over, all smiles. "Julian, you made it." She gave him this hug that lasted about 3 seconds too long. He kissed her on the cheek. I watched this whole exchange. The mature adults being friendly. Then I turned to Karen with my smile still locked in place. "Well, he's here. My job is done. You do have a great time." I walked right past her and grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door. Her smile vanished instantly. "What are you doing?" "Alex, stop being dramatic. People are here." "I'm not being dramatic at all," I said as I slid my phone into my pocket. I turned back to Julian, who looked completely baffled. "She's all yours, man. I was just leaving." Then I walked out the door. "Leaving?" Karen's voice was somewhere between a hiss and a shriek. "Alex, get back here right now." But I was already walking down the hall toward the elevator. Ben and Will had seen the whole thing go down. They know me well enough to know I wasn't making some dramatic gesture that I'd take back in 5 minutes. This was it. As I'm walking away, I hear the door open behind me. "Alex, what the hell are you doing?" It was Ben and Will were right behind him. "It's over," I said simply. She gave me an ultimatum. "I'm taking it. Let's go get a drink." Ben looked back at the apartment where you could still hear the music playing and people talking. "Dude, what about all of this? Not my party anymore." "Not my problem." We got in the elevator. My other friends, the colleagues from my firm, they'd all seen me leave. They saw my 2 best friends follow me out. The vibe in that apartment must have shifted immediately. As the elevator doors closed, I pulled out my phone. I opened up my custom Aura app that controlled everything. I tapped on a script I'd written months ago, basically as a joke. I called it the shutdown sequence. "What are you doing?" Will asked. "Being cool," I said, and I hit execute. Back in the apartment, and I only know this because Ben talked to some people who were there, it was instant chaos. First the music just died. Cut off mid-beat. Dead silence. Then every single light in the apartment, all 32 smart bulbs I'd installed, they all snapped from that warm amber mood lighting to their default setting. 100% brightness. Pure white. 4000 Kelvin. It was like an operating room. Harsh, sterile, horrible fluorescent white light flooding every room. Then the 3 digital art displays all went to black. Just black screens. The entire party, about 30 people, just stood there in dead silence, blinking in this awful harsh white light. Karen apparently started frantically tapping at the wall panels trying to control the lights, but they were just useless pieces of plastic now. The aura system was off. My friend Ben said Julian just looked around and said, "Whoa, that's weird." My colleagues, bless their hearts, they immediately saw their opportunity to escape this nightmare. Oh wow, look at the time. I have such an early morning tomorrow. I think I might be getting sick. My cat needs medicine. Within 10 minutes, every single person who came to that party because of me had left. Every colleague, every friend of mine gone. The party that Karen wanted so badly, the one she was willing to threaten our relationship over, it was now just her, Julian, and maybe 4 of her girlfriends standing in a dead silent, blindingly bright apartment with a mountain of expensive catering that was getting cold. My phone started buzzing before I'd even made it to the parking garage. Karen. Turn it back on right now. Karen again. Alex, you are such a childish jerk. Turn the lights back on. Another one. You ruined everything. You ruined it. I sent one text back. You told me to be cool or it's over. I chose over. Please have your things out of my apartment by the end of the month. Then I blocked her number and went out for whiskey with my actual friends. That was week 1. Week 2 is when things got really interesting. Ben and Will and I went to this low-key bar and my phone was just vibrating constantly on the table. Calls from random numbers I didn't recognize. Multiple texts from her best friend Alana. Karen is crying. You're a literal monster. How could you humiliate her like that? Another one. She invited one person and you destroyed your whole relationship over one guy. You're pathetic. Then this one. Turn her internet back on. She can't even watch TV. Ah yes. The Aura system. Wasn't just lights and music. See, the server I built ran the whole network. It was the primary router and firewall for the entire apartment. When I ran that shutdown script, I'd shut down everything. No Wi-Fi, no streaming, nothing. The apartment was basically a dumb box. I ignored all of them. I spent the weekend at Ben's place just decompressing. We ordered pizza, played video games. It was actually really nice. But I knew I had to deal with the apartment situation properly. Here's the thing. I'm the sole leaseholder. Karen was essentially a long-term guest. But in my state, after someone lives somewhere for 30 days, they have certain rights. I couldn't just throw her stuff on the curb as much as I wanted to. I had to do this by the book. So Monday morning I unblocked Karen just long enough to handle logistics. Me. Karen, I'm serious. The relationship is over. I need you to be out by the end of the month. Let me know when you'll be moving your things so I can be there. Karen. You can't be serious. You're kicking me out over a party? After 2 years. I live here, Alex. Me. No, you don't. You live with me and now you don't. You're the one who said it's over. I just agreed. Karen. You're a sociopath. A cold, calculating psycho. You tricked me. Me. Telling you I'd be cool and then leaving when you disrespected me isn't a trick, Karen. It's called having boundaries. You have 26 days. Then she played her card. Karen. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. You'll have to evict me, and when you do I'll tell everyone what you did. He thought she was calling my bluff. The problem is I don't bluff. This is where her entitlement really showed itself. Her mom Daria called me a few days later. Alex, honey, I just spoke to Karen. She's an absolute wreck. I'm so disappointed in you. You're a 31-year-old man and you threw a tantrum like a toddler. I stayed calm. Daria, with all due respect, Karen gave me an ultimatum. She told me to accept her ex-boyfriend coming to our party or our relationship was over. I accepted her terms. But she was just upset, she whined. You know how she gets. And Julian is just a friend. You were being jealous. Now you've made her homeless. She's not homeless, I said. She's living rent-free in my apartment. And she has her friend Julian staying with her actually, so I'd say she's doing just fine. There was this long silence. Julian is staying there? Yep, I said. Saw his jacket on my couch when I stopped by. Point is, she's not my responsibility anymore. He needs to be out. You can't just throw her out on the street, Daria said. She has nowhere to go. She put so much work into decorating that apartment. You owe her. Side note here. Her decorating consisted of 3 throw pillows and 1 scented candle she bought at a discount store. I paid for the $4,000 couch she put them on. I don't owe her anything, I said. She has until the 31st. That's the law. Goodbye, Daria. Then I hung up. A few days later I got a call from my building manager Frank. We have a good relationship, we've talked shop about the building's infrastructure before. Hey Alex, he said. Got a weird call today. A complaint from your unit. From Karen. Yeah, she said you abandoned the apartment and that you're unstable and she's afraid you might come back. She asked us to change the locks to protect her. My blood went cold. She was trying to lock me out of my own apartment. Frank, listen, I said. I am the sole leaseholder. You and I both know that. Karen is my ex-girlfriend, not a tenant. She's refusing to leave. I'm temporarily staying with a friend to avoid confrontation. She's the one who shouldn't be there and she's letting an unauthorized guest stay there. Her ex-boyfriend Julian. Frank sighed. That's what I figured. Look, I can't change locks for a non-leaseholder, but Alex, this is messy. You need to get her out legally. She's claiming tenant rights. I know, I said. I'm handling it. And I was. This is where my planning brain kicked into gear. You can't just throw someone's stuff in the hall like in movies. Step 1 was I hired a process server. Cost me $150. He formally and legally served Karen with a 30-day notice to quit. This wasn't a text message. This was a legal document. The clock was officially ticking. Step 2 was I needed my stuff back. My Aura server, my work computer which was a custom-built tower worth thousands, my expensive espresso machine and my liquor collection. I texted Karen. I'm coming by tomorrow at 10 in the morning with a police escort for a civil standby to retrieve my personal property. You're required to let me in. She didn't reply. So the next day I showed up with 2 cops. They met me in the lobby. Civil standby. You Alex? Scope. We went up and I used my key but the door was deadbolt from the inside. The cop knocked. Ma'am, this is the police. You need to open the door. The leaseholder is here to retrieve personal property. We waited. Finally the door opened. There was Karen wearing my bathrobe with messy hair. And behind her on my couch was Julian. Shirtless. The absolute entitlement of this. Being in my apartment with the guy she blew up our relationship for. You can't just barge in here, she shrieked. The cop, this woman who looked like she'd seen everything twice, just sighed. Ma'am, he's on the lease. You're not. He's allowed to be here. We're just here to keep things civil. Let him get his things. Julian actually tried to stand up. Hey man, this isn't cool. This is our place now. I looked at him. Is your name on the lease? Did you pay the $4,200 rent check last week? No. Then sit down and be quiet before the cops add you to the eviction notice. He sat down. I walked in with Ben and Will as my witnesses. The cops said it was fine. I went straight to the hall closet and started methodically unplugging my server rack. The brain of the Aura system. Karen just watched with her face going pale. You're taking that? The lights won't work without it. They're just regular lights now, Karen, I said. You'll have to use the switches like normal. Ben and Will started carefully packing up my desktop computer. You can't take that computer, she said. I use it. You have a laptop, I replied. This is my workstation. I paid $5,000 just for the graphics card. It's mine. Then I went to the kitchen and unplugged my $900 espresso machine. Alex, no, she actually wailed. That's ours. Was it? I said. I have the receipt. It was my birthday gift to myself. Finally I grabbed a box and went to the bar cart. I started loading every single bottle. The good tequila, the small batch rye whiskey, all of it. Julian said, dude, not the booze. I paused, held up a bottle of single malt scotch, looked right at him and put it in my box. We were done in 15 minutes. As I was leaving, Karen was just standing there finally crying. You're so petty, Alex. You're stealing. This is cruel. I stopped at the door. No, Karen. This is mine. Cruel was giving me an ultimatum. Cruel was inviting your ex to my home. Cruel is this. I held up the 30-day notice. The process server gave you this, right? You have 28 days left. After that the sheriff comes and he won't be as nice as I was. Then I left. Left them in a dark, silent, Wi-Fi-less, coffee-less, booze-less apartment. So the 30 days came and went. Did Karen leave? Of course not. I got another call from Daria about a week before the deadline. Alex, you can't really go through with this. Karen is a mess. She'll have an eviction on her record. That's permanent. It will ruin her life. She's had 30 days to find a new place, I said. She's an adult, Daria. Her choices have consequences. But Julian left, Daria said. He just left her. She's all alone now. She can't afford a deposit on a new place. You know she doesn't have savings. So the scruffy artist bailed the second the free booze and cool tech and luxury apartment were gone. Shocking. That's not my problem, I said. She's not my girlfriend anymore. She's a squatter in my apartment. The 30 days are up Friday. If she's not out, I'm filing the eviction. You bastard, Daria hissed. After everything she did for you. What exactly did she do for me, I asked. Besides this? Then I hung up. Friday came. I went by with Ben after work. Her stuff was still there. She had locked herself in and wasn't answering. So Monday morning I was at a lawyer's office. This is the real life part, folks. The part that's not sexy or fast. I had to hire a lawyer. Cost me $500 just for the retainer. He filed the unlawful detainer lawsuit. I had to pay money to get my own apartment back. The process took weeks. We got a court date. Karen naturally didn't show up, so we got a default judgment. Then we had to wait for the sheriff to post the notice to vacate. Another 5 days. It was a 45-day process from when the 30-day notice expired. 45 days of me living on Ben's couch paying rent on an apartment I couldn't even use. The day the sheriff came to forcibly remove her was something. I was there with the landlord and 2 sheriff's deputies. He was still inside crying and screaming. You can't do this. This is my home. Alex, you're obsessed with me. You're a psycho. The deputies weren't having it. Ma'am, you have 15 minutes to gather your essentials. The rest will be moved to the curb. She lost it completely. Full-on screaming tantrum on the floor. They had to physically escort her out. It was honestly pathetic to watch. After she was out, the landlord and I did a walkthrough. That's when I saw the real extent of her entitlement and maliciousness. She and Julian, before he bailed, had been trashing the place. It wasn't just messy. It was deliberate destruction. They had taken a knife or keys and scraped long, deep scratches into the hardwood floors. They'd poured what looked like red wine all over my $4,000 couch. It was completely ruined. They had taken something heavy, maybe a hammer, and smashed the digital art displays I'd left mounted on the wall. They were hardwired in, so I couldn't take them. In the kitchen, they dumped an entire bag of flour and coffee grounds into the sink drain and ran water, creating this concrete-like clog. The landlord's contractor estimated around $11,000 in damages to the apartment. My couch was another $4,000. I just stood there looking at it all. I wasn't even angry. I was cold and focused. On the kitchen counter, under a half-empty fast food bag, was a note in her handwriting. Hope it was worth it, you psycho. You ruined my life, so I ruined your sanctuary. You'll die alone. That note was the best $150 I ever spent on a process server. I took a photo and gave it to my lawyer immediately. So here's where the justice actually happens. It's not fast or dramatic. It's methodical and bureaucratic. The landlord was furious. He used my security deposit for initial repairs, then immediately went after Karen and unnamed occupant John Doe, meaning Julian, for the remaining $11,000 in damages. He had my witness testimony, police reports, everything. I took the receipt for my ruined couch, photos from the walkthrough, receipts for the lawyer and process server, and court filings. I filed in small claims court for the maximum amount, which is $10,000. She was served again at her mother's house, where she'd been forced to move back in. We had our court date last week. She showed up with Daria. She tried to lie immediately. Your Honor, he's abusive. He locked me out. He stalked me. He turned off my heat in winter. The heat was gas. It was never off. I stayed calm. The judge looked tired. Ma'am, I have the unlawful detainer judgment right here. It says you were removed by the sheriff for refusing to vacate after proper notice. Let's talk about the property damage. It was already like that, Karen said. He's just trying to get money from me because he's rich. He's an architect and I have nothing. Your Honor, I said calmly. Here are 30 time-stamped photos from the party showing the apartment in perfect condition. Here are the photos from the walkthrough with the sheriff's deputies as witnesses. Here is the receipt for the $4,000 couch. And here is a note she left me where she admits to intentionally damaging my property. I handed over copies of everything, including the note. The judge read the note. He looked at Karen. I ruined your sanctuary. Ma'am, did you write this? Karen went completely white. She couldn't say anything. I won. Judgment for the full $10,000. So here's the current fallout. Karen now has an eviction and a small claims judgment on her public record. Her credit is destroyed. She'll be lucky to rent a garage apartment anywhere. She's 28 years old, living in her childhood bedroom with her mother, who enabled all of this. I've already filed the paperwork to garnish her wages from her part-time styling job. It'll take years to get that 10 grand back, maybe $150 at a time, but I'll get every penny. Julian, the landlord, named him in the suit too. The eviction is on his record as an unauthorized occupant who participated in property destruction. I heard through mutual acquaintances he moved back to his hometown. His whole artist career thing is probably over. As for me, I'm out the legal fees and the hassle and stress. The couch is gone. I'm not rebuilding the Aura system. Honestly, I'm kind of enjoying the simplicity of regular light switches and dumb light bulbs. The silence is nice. It wasn't a clean win. It was messy and expensive and stressful. But I'm free. She thought she had all the power. She thought I was some doormat she could issue ultimatums to. She thought I'd just be cool and let her walk all over me while she brought her ex into our home. She wanted to test whether I'd blink. I didn't blink. I walked out that door and I didn't look back. The relationship ended the second she said be cool or it's over. Everything after that was just paperwork. People keep asking me if I have any regrets. Honestly, no. Could I have handled some things differently? Maybe. But she made a choice. She chose to disrespect me in my own home. She chose to issue an ultimatum. She chose to move her ex-boyfriend into my apartment after I left. She chose to destroy my property out of spite. Every single consequence she's facing now is a direct result of her own choices. I just refuse to be a doormat about it. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about boundaries and self-respect. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. When someone treats your relationship as something they can leverage for whatever they want, that's not a relationship worth saving. And when someone gives you an ultimatum designed to humiliate you, sometimes the right answer is to walk away with your dignity intact. I chose dignity. I chose self-respect. And honestly, I'd make the same choice again. So yeah, that's my story. My girlfriend said be cool about my ex coming to our party or we're done. So I was very cool. I left. And I took my apartment, my stuff, and my self-respect with me. She got exactly what she asked for. She wanted it to be over. It's over.